Welcome, folks, to Our City Matters. Today we have a special guest. You've probably met him around town, or maybe you've heard about him on some other public access show. We have Robert Debrot. And Robert is instrumental in helping to curb our graffiti problem in the city. So I want to welcome Robert to the show.
Thank you, Deb. Great to be here.
And I'm so happy you're here because we have a lot to talk about. But first, we're going to let the folks see our video that we did a couple weeks ago. And that was a fun time, you and I, going out with bikes and doing this documentary. So, John, if you'd like to show the video, then we'll come back and...
Hello, my name is Robert Debrot. I moved to Manchester, New Hampshire about a year ago, right in the area of the Riverwalk walking path and bridge, which is to my right. And when I first got here, I was, first of all, I love New Hampshire, and I came here because of the outdoor lifestyle, the beauty of New Hampshire really drew me to it. It fit in with my lifestyle, and I live right around this area. And when I moved here initially, in that first summer, I took my bike along the path here, the Riverwalk Trail, and the Piscataqua Trail across the bridge, and was shocked by all the graffiti that was everywhere, and including vandalism, things that were damaged. Right behind me is this beautiful bull sculpture, and this was filled with graffiti, and there was overgrowth all over it. It really couldn't be appreciated. It looked like it hadn't been cared for, and the whole trail system looked that way. And I just was really disappointed with that, and I immediately started thinking, what can I do about this? And one of the first things I did was actually adopt a sign which comes right into this area, and I just promised myself, and I told my community, the neighbors that live around me, that there will be no more graffiti on that sign. And I've had to remove it a couple of times, but once it was removed a couple of times, people gave up, the vandals gave up writing graffiti on that. And that kind of was planting the seed for me in what I did after that, which was create a Facebook group called Riverwalk Beautification Alliance, Manchester NH. Anybody who's interested in improving the Manchester area, and specifically this trail system, please go onto that Facebook page and like it, and you'll receive information on updates related to events, cleanup dates, graffiti removal events, landscaping upgrades, and also a mural program that we're going to set up in the very near future, all designed to beautify this bucolic environment that runs along the river. Okay, I think right now we're on the walking bridge that was built many years ago as part of the improvement to this Manchester area. And I just wanted to point out that there are these beautiful granite seats. These are not the originals. The originals were vandalized, removed, and thrown into the river. Following that, though, they installed new ones, a gift of Ocean Bank, I should point out. And they also installed security cameras. There's one on each side of this bridge, so that anything that happens now can be recorded. The police have a video of it, and appropriate actions can be taken against the vandals. That's it. One of the first properties that was developed along the river after the mills were upgraded was the Fisher Cat Stadium, which is to my right. And what you're looking at right now is the condominiums that were developed soon after that. The newest development that's happening right now, as you can see, there's construction underway right behind me. And that's actually a luxury rental building of about 150 units. So we're going to get another 150 families right along the river here, which is really going to have a dramatic impact on the flow of population that goes on this the walking bridge and along the trail here. So you can see some really great improvements that are occurring right now. We'll be seeing that new building opening up in about a year. So here is an example of some graffiti. You can see on this sign there's inked graffiti, but there's also taped on, which is essentially post office address labels that are blank when they get them, and then they tag their names or whatever they do. You can't even read what they write, but they put it on that, and then they jump up and they stick it to the sign.
Okay, you can see.
You can see the stop sign down there is beyond repair, and we are currently working with the city to replace them and also lift them up a little higher and make sure that they're graffiti-proof signs.
Okay.
So one of the other things that's really important to upgrading this area and eliminating the graffiti problem here, as well as throughout Manchester, is really educating everybody about graffiti. Graffiti takes several different forms. It's done by gangs, drug dealers. It's done by kids, mostly males, typically, of all races, of all economic conditions, and they're usually just frustrated kids, and they're from the ages of 13 to 17 years old, typically. And they do vandalism, they write all different types. Some believe it's an art form. I do not take that position, and if you go to the website graffitihurts.org, that's www.graffitihurts.org, you can educate yourself on these things. You can teach your children. There's actually programs on that website that can educate, be used as a tool for teachers. And it educated me because I didn't know too much about it until I was thrust into this environment. And one of the things we've done here at the Riverwalk is this pedestal used to be here for something like a brass bird sanctuary education program, and they removed that, ripped it off, and that disappeared. But what I've done is create a little sign with a little bit of education about what graffiti is, what it does, how it's destructive to a community. Coming from New York City, one of the things I learned, and I am in property management, and I was responsible for residential buildings on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And I moved there before Giuliani had come into office, and I got to see essentially what I'm seeing here. Back in the 80s, it was destroyed, graffiti everywhere. And there's a philosophy that Giuliani invigorated in New York City called broken windows philosophy. Essentially what it says is, if you create an environment, or if an environment looks like something that's not good, broken windows, for example, or graffiti, or anything else that doesn't look right, people tend to avoid those areas. Good people avoid those areas. It's scary. It's intimidating for the elderly. It's intimidating for everybody. And so what his philosophy, Giuliani's philosophy, was to create an environment, even if there's some bad activity going on, take actions immediately, restore the condition of everything, remove the graffiti, fix the windows, do community policing. And what tends to happen is it sends a message to the bad people, the drug dealers, the gang members, the people who are looking to do damage for whatever their reasons. It sends a message to them that this is not a place to do that, that you're taking a risk of getting caught here because this environment is being taken care of and watched. One of the other things that we're doing in terms of projects is to create murals in very vulnerable locations. And you can see behind me is a cement tunnel, which is a passageway for cars that go above. It's a great place to create a mural, to make something beautiful. Historically, when you create a mural, the vandals tend to leave it alone, or they work around it. Somehow they have some level of respect, because in their minds, their vandalism is art. So they tend not to draw on other people's art, although we've seen that along the trail many times where they write all over their own art. So it's no guarantee, but it certainly makes it look a lot better than a blank slate. So we're at the new walking bridge, which leads right into Goffstown. We're going to start seeing a much larger population of residents from Goffstown going into this trail system. And also, those of us from Manchester will be using their trail system. So it's really important that we keep up appearances, be good with our neighbors, and really work hard on eliminating this graffiti and vandalism problem on the trail. So we're at the south side of Queen City Avenue at the very end of the Riverwalk trail. And you can see here there's a big open lot, which I believe was originally going to be a park. And then I believe in 2008, when the whole country crashed, that was canceled out. So there's a tremendous opportunity here for growth, for development, and potentially another park at the end of this trail. And we hope to see that in the near future. So hopefully
Okay, welcome back, folks. That was a nice time we had together, Robert and I, and to bring this video to you. So now you get a glimpse of what Robert is dealing with and what he's thinking and how he wants to move forward with his project. So Robert, if you could elaborate on that for us and give us an update.
Sure. Well, first, I am the founding member of the Riverwalk Beautification, but none of this could have happened without all the volunteers. The first event we had about 30 people volunteer to clean up a massive amount of graffiti along those trails, and it was very, very successful. And that was back in, I believe, July. and it's it's October now, and we've had to go back from time to time. Not that much, surprisingly. I thought it would be filled with graffiti the next week. But it was probably maybe 5 times we had to go back with only a couple of other volunteers, and we kept cleaning it up. So the entire summer, and even right now, there is no graffiti on those trails, and that's about 4 miles of trails.
Yeah.
There is one section where at the end of that video, where that open field is, there's still some graffiti there because we're not cleaning it up because it's really just an entrance way. No one really walks down there at this point, and we just had to keep our focus on those areas where people are constantly riding their bikes, jogging, and just enjoying that area.
So we could expand some cleanup under the Queen City Bridge,
Absolutely,
let's say,
yes.
and clean up that walkway to that empty lot
That
on
would
Sundial.
that would be the next step in terms of cleanup. But if you go on the trails now, you're going to love them. The graffiti. The last thing we just did was that new bridge to Goffstown. There was a little bit of graffiti on their side of the bridge, and we just cleaned that up within the past week. So that graffiti you may have seen on rocks in that area, that's no longer there as well.
And we really appreciate your efforts and all those volunteers. So you're looking more for more support, like for the mural?
Yeah,
let's
so
say?
we do need support, and this is not just about the Riverwalk and those trails there. This is really the entire city of Manchester. And I just want to put some things in context. I came from New York City. New York City has very high taxes, as everybody I'm sure has heard. When I moved here, for every $100 that I make in my income, $20 I saved. So it's 20% more taxes to live in New York City than here. And I think that's important to point out because when you talk about New York City and big cities where taxes are much higher, they have a lot more resources. So government and contractors can be paid to do a lot more themselves. In Manchester, the government doesn't have that kind of resource. So we really do rely on people, residents, people like me, people like you to communicate it out, and everybody to participate in one way or another. You don't necessarily have to volunteer to remove graffiti. That's a great thing, and we want it. But you could contribute, and we do have a GoFundMe account. If you go to gofundme.com and just write in Riverwalk Beautification Alliance, you'll see an access so you could give $5, $2, $20. People give hundreds of dollars as well. But we're about out of money at this point because we've been cleaning up. We bought a lot of paint in the beginning, and we do need some more funding in order to do these murals, which we're planning to do. Probably it'll be complete by the spring, so that in the spring and the summer, you're going to have an even more beautiful environment there.
Wow. And who do you know that's going to do the mural? Is that decided yet?
Yeah, so we're working with Friends of Art Manchester. It's an organization that does these murals, actually. And we're also working with a local high school. So there's a couple of different areas that we're looking at, and we've received samples, and we're going to be presenting that to government officials for approval in the near future.
Oh, great. That sounds terrific. There's also brush cleanup and the trees. I guess you were managing cutting away some of this overgrowth, I guess.
Yes.
Your group was also doing.
So I know that there's the real estate that's being built there. In the video, you saw one a luxury building that's being built, and there's also condos by there. And I know that they're actually going to be upgrading that area themselves, and that'll be a great example for the rest of the area. And we do plan to do some type of volunteer effort where we clean up all the vines, remove things that aren't natural for New Hampshire, because they kill all the natural growth there. And also, it will open up the river a lot more, so it'll be even more beautiful. When you're walking the trail, you'll be able to see the river and see the other side. And it'll also open it up and make it feel more comfortable for residents, as opposed to being kind of covered up and hidden, which feeds that whole vandalism mentality. It makes those people feel safe and secure to do those types of behaviors. So all these things cumulatively will have a dramatic impact. We've already had a big impact on it, so you won't see graffiti there anymore.
Right.
But we want that location to look, coming from New York, more like Central Park, where there's just beautiful plantings, there's beautiful things to see, and then, of course, the natural environment as well.
Speaking of plantings, I donated some bulbs, to be able to be set in some of the strategic places. So people could bring plants maybe in the spring, or
Absolutely.
some hostas, and you're probably looking for those kind of donations as well?
Yes, please go to the Facebook group, Riverwalk Beautification Alliance, Manchester, NH, and just like it so that you can always find out what's going on, because that's really how we communicate to everyone. We'll post an event, and it has the details about the event. And we also post, informational things, such as this show. We're going to do a link for this show and other things that are going on as well. I know that there was a state representative who came to Manchester, Mr. Salt.
Yes, Greg Salt was at the last Board of Aldermen meeting, and he brought a suggestion to the board about an anti-graffiti legislation that is a model. I guess it's in Salem, Oregon, and I thought that was a fine thing that he did.
Yeah, I think it's going to, to what I was saying earlier, that we don't have a lot of resources. It's very important that everybody contribute. Businesses, local residents, and government do what they can within their means to make a difference. One of the other things that I just wanted to point out is in that video I had noted that I just started off this by removing some graffiti on one sign. I made a commitment to myself and my neighbors that I was never going to see graffiti on that one sign. And I just wanted to show you what I do. There's a little bag. So I go biking or hiking. This goes right around your back. It could be any kind of knapsack. And all you need is a couple of things. Goof off. That will remove any graffiti off of a sign. It's very simple to do. You spray it on. You may want to have a mask if that's uncomfortable for you. And you let it sit there for a second and you wipe it off. Then a lot of things are black. And they love to paint on black. So you bring a little black spray paint, you hit it, and it covers over. You'd never even know it was there. And then there's like a lot of stone. And this is called camouflage, Rust-Oleum camouflage. And it's just a very close match to the stone, and it's flat, so
if
it's
they wrote
safe
on
for
a
the
rock,
stone.
if it's a rock that's got graffiti on it,
Yes.
spray it. Get
And
rid of the graffiti.
you can get even more creative than that. I've gotten to the point where if there's different tones on the rock, now I'll bring a couple of different colors, and you can't even tell it was ever spray painted. You'll get good at it. But this is for those who are fed up with that piece of graffiti.
Yeah.
That's maybe a block or two from where you live, and you're just sick of it. Just take control. Just do it. You might want to call the police and just say, hey, I'm going to be removing graffiti over here. I just want to give you the heads up. What's the name of the officer that you're speaking to over the phone? Write that down. I don't think anybody's going to stop you, but it's a good idea to do that so they don't think that you're actually writing graffiti.
Or maybe even a homeowner you can approach and say, I have the stuff right here. I can take care of it for you right now if I have your permission. Do I have your permission? And go clean his house, right?
Exactly.
Or his fence.
But it starts with us.
Right.
If you're waiting for government to get it all fixed, you're going to be waiting until hell freezes over. It's just not going to happen. They don't have the resources. One important element to all of this is you have to remove it immediately. They'll test you again as soon as it's clean. They'll put it back up to see, is it going to stay? When you remove it within a couple of days, then they start to learn. Uh-oh, I can't put graffiti there anymore. Let me pick another spot.
It'll waste my time and effort.
If you just do it once, it's not going to work. You really have to kind of get a mindset of, I'm ready to do this 5 times, 6 times if I need to. It may happen one time and that'll be it, but you really need to be prepared mentally, because it's kind of devastating when you walk by something you cleaned and all of a sudden it's graffiti there, and it doesn't feel good.
Disappointing.
But I promise you, you will feel really good when that sign is clean and you walk by or drive by and you see that sign clean. There is nothing nothing more satisfying than that in terms of doing something for your community, and it really isn't a lot of effort. So please, give it a try.
Good. And on our bike ride, I noticed that there was a gentleman who kind of took it upon himself to take care of the trash. He puts up a few bags along the way, and people, will throw their trash in the bag rather than on the walkway. And he comes back and takes it away and replaces the bag. That's his little effort.
Yes, there's a lot of people like that, a lot of residents who make a difference like that, and that is going to make the difference. That will make the change. One of the other things which is really gratifying is the amount of people when they're walking by who say thank you. With a lot of passion, they're saying thank you, because, those of you who are listening, when you see graffiti there, you know how that feels. And to have it gone in your home, in your neighborhood, it's just such a big difference.
We appreciate you bringing that zeal to Manchester and all your effort.
Thank you.
And so this video will go to the alderman, and I hope that we'll get some cooperation to get that stop sign replaced. And any other little signs that there that need replacing. It is just gorgeous down there, and we want to keep it in best condition as possible. So I think we'll end on that note. Don't forget the GoFundMe page for the Riverwalk Beautification Alliance, and your donations will be greatly appreciated. And we thank you so much, Robert.
Thanks, Deb, and thanks everyone for listening.
For all your help, and we'll do another ride come this spring.
Absolutely.
All right, take care. Next time, folks, on Our City Matters.